That's funny because I think I feel, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think I feel a difference on a daily basis
Hmm.
um, when I do versus don't take my multivitamin.
So I learned about nootropics from Tim Ferriss,
Okay.
and he was talking about studying for his Japanese language in college. So he would take a hit of desmopressin, which is a prescription antidiuretic given to people so they don't wet the bed. He would take a hit, he would go through his flashcards one time, he'd go into the test, and he'd get like a solid B plus.
That sounds a little sketchy, man.
It is sketchy because you have no idea what was in that drug because you're not getting a prescription for a bedwetting medication as a 24-year-old adult male.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or you got to be really, really humble to go into the doctor's office
Yeah.
for that.
Uh, Look what happened.
But what's important was that it was a nasal spray. So the speed of absorption was a lot faster than if you were to consume it in a pill form. It only lasted for a short amount of time. Now, the theory there is that if you take a supplement or a cognitive enhancer to learn something, if you can, no matter how short the window, if you can put it in your long-term storage, then you just learned it. So you don't have to remember it for a super long time. You just have to remember it in an intense burst so that it's put in that long-term memory bank.
Let me ask you this. I'm thinking as you're talking here, how much of this do you think is due to a placebo effect?
Over 50%.
Okay, I'll take that.
I mean, I'd like to say more than that, but I would probably say, so with desmopressin, it's definitely the drug.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't just get it.
Okay.
You know, it was made to do something. But in a lot of these other things, they all follow a series of like generally make you a healthier person category, right? And these people generally are not like eating McDonald's also. And they're
Right.
also not sedentary. And they're also not like, I don't want to rip on anyone's habits, but like these people do things. Like that's why they take these cognitive enhancements.
Yeah, they do things, and I'm also just thinking like, all right, well, sure, I'm sure all of them have some effect, right? They
Mm-hmm.
are foreign substances or chemicals that are going to alter your body and your mind in some way. I'm just wondering how significant is that versus the significance of the placebo effect that they might have. And I'm thinking also the type of person that takes this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like Tim Ferriss, for example. First of all, if you know anything about Tim Ferriss, you know that he's just a very like disciplined and regimented kind of person.
Yeah.
He's all about increasing efficiency. So like
Yeah. To the
that's
point of OCD, like
yeah, that's like
unhealthy
natural
levels.
state.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, even if you're not like that, if you're taking it to study for a test, well, you're going to take it, and then you're already in this like state of I'm going to focus really hard on this and try and
Mm-hmm.
remember as much as I can. So that's got to just have some sort of effect, is what I'm saying.
Without a doubt.
You know, I'm just wondering how much of it is placebo versus the drug itself. But if it works, it works. Who cares, right?
Right. Yeah. If it works, yeah, who cares? Who cares if it's from the placebo effect or not? Like that's the whole reason placebo is a thing. Like a combination of Tylenol and ibuprofen are just as effective in the research as opiates. Like one is addictive and can definitely kill you. I'm pretty sure people don't die from taking Tylenol and ibuprofen most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, so but like if a doctor's like, here, take this, take this opiate, you're gonna be like, oh man, that's gonna like definitely kill my pain.
Right.
But it's just baloney. It's just in your mind.
Yeah.
Mind. Mind powers.
Power of the mind.
So after he was talking about the desmopressin and vasopressin, which is basically the same thing, but one he could get illegally shipped from China, he made this combination of drugs called the PAG stack. So you had polycosanol, alpha lipoic acid, green tea flavonols, and garlic extract. So there are a ton of good things about garlic, right? And the alpha lipoic acid, Like that's your omega-3s. We already know those two things by themselves are super good for you.
Yeah. Plus they keep the vampires away.
Obviously, that's really his only reasoning. I think he came out with this the same time the Twilight series was going on, so he knew what was happening. So the cool thing is so polycosanol is like another fatty acid. So I'm pulling up reading from notes here because I don't know all this by my brain. So it's a fatty alcohol from plant waxes, usually sugarcane or beeswax. I do remember that part, which is a kind of weird thing because like beeswax and like the wax from most fruits just get thrown out because we can't digest it, but we can digest a little bit here. But some research shows that it lowers your HDLs and lowers your LDLs and raises your HDLs. And this is like a scientific study, which aren't always good. You know, anecdotally, sometimes it's just as good as like, you know, a scientific study. Alpha lipoic acid was first used to fight liver disease. It's like it's basically like a super antioxidant, which is like slightly less of a buzzword now than it was in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then the green tea, I'll talk a little bit about later. And then the garlic is super good for you because it's like, there's a bunch of stuff for artery health and like cancer, fighting off cancer. It's good at helping your cells like kill off bad cells, recognize bad cells and kill them off faster. But that's where I started. And way back in whenever he wrote that book, he released it and you had to buy each supplement from a different provider. And then some schmuck was like, hey, I'm just going to make this into a pack and then make a whole bunch of money on it. And they definitely did that. So now you can just buy the PAG stack.
Perfect.
So like, if you don't want to think about it at all, do the PAG stack and do it for 3 months. Give yourself a test at the beginning, give yourself a test at the end and see what happens. So most of these, you have to find the one that works best for you. So then you have like your prescription drugs, which is what you talked about. So you have modafinil, Adderall, Ritalin, meth, cocaine, right? Like the serious ones that will definitely make you run hot. And my personal theory on some of these is that your metabolism just kicks up a notch because it's dealing with some of this. And brain function is related to metabolism, right? So your metabolism gets higher, your brain function will follow along because you have more oxygen, better blood flow. So this is why I think you feel good after exercise, aside from the endorphins that get released from good behavior.
That's interesting. Maybe that's why I feel like I'm so dumb, is because I have a slow metabolism. And
right, but the theory makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me.
If your heart is more effective, it's more effective at getting nutrients throughout your body. Yeah. So then you have like the over-the-counter, super easy stuff to find. Caffeine, which we already talked about. L-theanine, and this is from tea. So this is where that green tea extract, you're getting L-theanine. And then your omega-3s, which pretty much everyone takes, period. Now, the nootropic that normally gets ignored would be pick any vitamin or mineral, whatever one you're deficient in, usually getting that number back up will have a drastic effect on your body.
That's funny because I think I feel, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think I feel a difference on a daily basis when I do versus don't take my multivitamin.
So 50% is you and 50% is that little Flintstone.
Maybe, I don't know. But I know that especially on the weekends, I usually I'm lazy with my supplements on the weekends, so I don't take them. And then when I take them again on Monday, when I take that multivitamin, I genuinely feel like it makes a difference, like a noticeable difference.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we talked about multivitamins being insurance, right? It's super easy.
Exactly.